There's a little boy named Paul. This little baby boy was born out of wedlock. His parents were 23 years old at the time. The mom, her name is Joanne. She's an American from Wisconsin. The father was a foreign student, and we'll call him John. Joanne's parents were not very happy with Joanne's choice of a man, and so they had a lot of different fights. But Joanne, when she had this little baby boy named Paul, said, you know what? As much as it was heart-wrenching to do, she decided to put Paul up for adoption. So when she went to the adoption center, she said, I have 3 criteria for the next couple to adopt my little baby boy, Paul. And those 3 criteria were, I want them to be Catholic, wealthy, and well-educated. This adoption agency, they find the couple. Joanne's all excited, but then this couple, at the very last minute, decides, you know what? I think we want a baby girl, actually. So Joanne got very disappointed and was a bit discouraged. So they went out again to the adoption center, and they finally found another couple. Now this couple really loved Paul. They really wanted to adopt Paul, but Joanne finds out that not only is this couple not Catholic, nor are they wealthy, they're not very educated. They're actually blue-collar workers. And so at first, Joanne's like, no, I'm not going to sign these papers. I'm not going to sign these papers. But she thinks about it, takes a step back. She's 23, by herself, doesn't know what to do. She says, you know what? This will be the best choice for my baby boy named Paul. She signs the papers. Paul gets to have this adopted family. Now, as Paul gets older, it doesn't really work well for him at school. He gets in trouble a lot. He's bored. He's disinterested. He actually gets suspended. But thankfully, his father, he was a handyman kind of guy. So his father had a garage, and his father would have him come into the garage, and if they wanted to build a cabinet, he would build a cabinet literally with his hands. If he wanted to build a fence, Paul's father would literally build it with his hands. So it gave him a great example. And as Paul got older, he did end up going to college because his parents promised his biological mom that they would save up all their money so that Paul can go to college. So Paul ends up going to college, but just like in elementary school and junior high school, he didn't like it. And so he decides to drop out of college. He went to Reed College at the time. And after he drops out of college, he decides that he's going to start doing what he wants to do. He's going to start pursuing what he likes to do and loves to do. So he goes into a calligraphy class. And in this class, for the first time, he's like, wow, this is exciting. This is beautiful. I like this design. I'm so inspired. Not knowing that inspiration in that class that he chose to go to, as opposed to what other people told him to do, would literally affect his world and our own world. Now, this guy named Paul, when he's 21, he co-founds a company called Apple Computers. Paul's full name is Stephen Paul Jobs. Steve Jobs, if you look at his life, for the first 20 years, most people would say it's a train wreck. The guy was adopted, parents left him, didn't do well in school, was suspended, dropped out of college. How many of us would judge him? How many of us would say, wow, this guy is a waste of time, this guy has no potential, he's just gonna not do anything in his life when he was 20, first 20 years of his life. But when he's 21, he founded Apple Computers. That was 40 years ago. So I want you to think about this. Before you go to bed tonight, think about and imagine if you had a father like Steve Jobs who helped you how to build things. Imagine if you were 13 years old, where Steve Jobs literally cold called a guy named Bill Hewitt, who co-founded Hewlett-Packard's, and you got a job. Imagine if you were 13 also, and you met a friend named Bill Fernandez, and Bill introduced Steve Jobs to Steve Wozniak, his business partner. Now, you don't have to imagine that, because as I said in the beginning of my speech, you're all creative. You create your own future, you create your own thoughts, you create your own dreams. So no one or nothing is stopping you right now. We live in an entrepreneurial renaissance right now. You can literally start your company right now. Because if you look at all the greats, Bill Gates was coding when he was 12 or 13. Elon Musk, who I've met before, who has been to the shelter, he sold his first program when he was 13 years old. So there's no reason why any one of you right now can't start their own company. No reason. We live in a phenomenal world where this smartphone, we have more knowledge than the President of the United States had 20 years ago. Literally. We have more knowledge on our phone than the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, had 20 years ago. So there's no excuses. All the adults know that, man, I don't know if the students now know how fortunate they are, where they can literally take out their phone, Google something, and learn whatever they want. So think about that before you go to bed tonight in terms of what you want to do with your future, how you can find these mentors, because it's literally as simple as cold calling, cold emailing, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever you use, but there's no reason why you can't find these mentors, because you want to find people that encourage you and support you so that when you do wake up in the morning, you look at your life as a canvas. Because if you don't, it's not a pretty sight. And what I mean by that is, if anyone ever goes to New York City at 9 o'clock at Grand Central Station, how many of you have been to New York City? 8 million people, 2 million people a day take the subway. If you go to Grand Central Station, it's a massive atrium, kind of like this auditorium, but it's probably like 4 times the size. And if you stand on top of the stairwell, looking over this atrium, you will see literally thousands of people walking by you in the morning. But what you will see is, unfortunately, a lot of sad faces. They all started as where you are right now. When I saw the Q&A session, everyone's excited to ask questions. So everyone has that excitement when they're kids, right? But slowly but surely, as you go to a job you don't like, as you go to work that you don't like, your posture starts changing. Your gut gets a little bigger, your hair starts thinning and starts getting a little grayer, and pretty soon that smile is replaced with a frown. And every single day, you just see these faces, and I told myself when I was in my mid-20s, I'm like, I will never go down like that. I am never going to be these people who literally go through life with a job to get paid, and then they die. So you have a choice right now. You literally have all this time, 90 years of your life, and you can choose, Chris, but I've done a lot of bad things, or I haven't done well in this exam, or I didn't do this assignment really well. Or you can say, this is my life, this is my future. You can pursue all that you want and start now. So that when you do wake up tomorrow morning, you will literally believe that life is a blank canvas and you are the painter. Thank you so much.